Welcome to Victims and Villains. If you are new to this channel, we talk about mental health through pop culture. My name is Captain Nostalgia. Today we are talking about Cobweb. Cobweb tells the story of a young boy's overly protective parents and the dark secrets that the overprotectiveness actually is covering up for. I want to be about as loose as I possibly can with this synopsis because honestly, the less that you know about the story of Cobweb, the more impactful it's actually going to be on you. And I actually think the better your experience is going to be with this movie. Right off the bat, I just have to praise Antony Starr. I think that this guy just absolutely does a phenomenal job in this movie. I don't know what it is particularly about Starr as an actor. Maybe it's just the fact that I have Homelander like seared into my brain, but he has such a presence about him in this movie, and it's this do I trust him, do I not trust him kind of concepts literally throughout the entirety of his screen time in this movie. And Starr is just one of those guys that just knows how to play malevolent really well, and you can add Cobweb to that list because he absolutely knocks it out of the park in this one. Lizzy Caplan is one actress that I feel like kind of gets overlooked and how underappreciated sometimes as an actress. I really liked her in this. I thought she did a fantastic job. She has such range from being a very caring mother to kind of just being this unhinged psychopath of a mother, and I think that she just really brings a full dimension to this character. When we're talking about stars as well, I feel like Cleopatra Coleman is also one worth noting in this story as well. I kind of get to her character, my thoughts on that, and the general overall story in just a few minutes, but I think Coleman is another performance in this movie worth highlighting. I thought she did a phenomenal job. Well, I think the majority of this movie does a really good job with its writing and its pacing. Coleman's character, honestly, was kind of the weak point when it came to writing. So this movie is written by Chris Thomas Devlin, and I think Devlin, for the most part, is a solid writer. I think the script and the ideas that he brings to life here are really, really powerful. I love the mental health themes woven throughout the course of this about trauma and legacy, and I'll talk about that more in the mental health section. But I think just as a whole, Coleman's character in the grand scheme of things just doesn't work. There are portions of this story where the first half of the film takes place between school and home life, and then in the back half, something happens along the way with Coleman's character where she just kind of becomes a footnote on the larger grand scheme of the story. But Coleman's character, so much of this story just feels really shoehorned in as kind of almost like a beacon of light, because I feel like without her character, the story would feel real grim. And I think that grimness really will satisfy a lot of horror fans, but it doesn't really appeal to a wider audience. And so you have a problematic narrative element like Coleman's character. I really like how immersive this film feels. And it's a three-part job. You know, obviously you're talking about Devlin's script, Samuel Bodin's direction, and Philip Lozano's cinematography. And just because I want to give credit where credit is due, I also think the costume design by Anna Gilnova was really well done. The art direction by Ivan Rinkanov, and the set decorations by Artazi, all worth calling out, and some actually overlooked elements that we see a lot of times in horror movies. The reason that I think that the production, the set design, costume, the art direction, all of the things are worth talking about and bringing up is because at least the experience that I had watching this movie, I was really immersed into this world. I was really immersed into Devlin's story and Starr and Caplan and Coleman's performance and Bodin's direction. And the story is really creepy, and I think it has a lot to do with just how everything unfolds. And it goes back to my original point: the less you know about this movie, the more impactful it's going to be in your viewing experience. I feel like the last thing that I have to talk about is the child actor. So Woody Newman plays our main protagonist, Peter, and as far as child actors go, he's fine. He's literally kind of just in the middle when it comes to things. He's not one of the film's better portions. He's not one of the film's weaker portions, but the film passes by along with him. But I think it's definitely the creepier elements that surround Norman that really make this one of the best horror films of the year. Now let's run this through our Rorschach rating scale. I'm going to go ahead and give Cobweb at 4 out of 5. I think this movie across the board is eerie, it is well paced, it is atmospheric, and it is just surrounded by excellent performances. The writing in it is really strong. The themes in it does those really well. All in all, I think that this is one of the better films we've gotten this year. I will say that the film does suffer from some strange narrative writing choices, but overall, it's a really solid film, and it feels very reminiscent of fall. And I can't actually wait to watch this in the Halloween season. And now let's talk about mental health. If you guys are new to our content, Mental Health Moment is where we'll take a theme out of mental health, the film which we're talking about, talk about it for a few moments in the hopes to deconstruct the stigma surrounding mental health. This film dives really deep into themes of secrecy and the impact that it has on relationships. I've been really fortunate to have parents that were sometimes a little bit too honest with me, but I've had my fair share of relationships that have lied to me, manipulated me, underestimated me, belittled me. That list just kind of goes on. And there's a mental health cost that comes with every one of those things. And one of those things that I think is a great example is when I was younger and I found out that Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and all that stuff wasn't real. It's a goofy example to cite, but it had its toll on my mental health to where I couldn't believe my parents, my protectors, these people that I've trusted would lie to me. And sometimes little things like that, they add up and they impact you well into later development of childhood, teenage years, adulthood. And sometimes those lies are so much greater than Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. They are earth-shattering secrets. I think this film does a great job at kind of exploring the mental health that comes with some of those traumatic secrets. But at the end of the day, we need to be able to create those vulnerable spaces to have those conversations of transparency and, be as guilt-free and as, naked as possible, essentially. Secrets have consequences, and secrets have effect on mental health. It might be a little bit of a cliche thing to talk about, but when it comes to the effects that it has on your mental health, they can sometimes be detrimental. And this is a reminder that you're not alone. I guarantee that there are more serious cases out there than the story that I gave earlier in this video, but it is a reminder that it is going to have effects onto you, like I said, later into your teenage years, into adulthood, and this is a reminder that you are not alone. If you or someone you know is struggling with suicide, addiction, self-harm, or depression, click the links in the show notes below to check out where you guys can get resources and check out our mental health resource library. Cobweb opens up this Friday from Lionsgate, and if you guys are going to go check it out this weekend, let me know. I know that Oppenheimer and Barbie are going to go out. It's a crowded weekend, but let me know in the show notes if you're going to support this little indie flick. I think it's well worth it, but let me know. Have a great night. And then the show notes below, you guys will also find links to our podcast, a subscribe button, Patreon, and once again, our mental health resource library. Have a great night, guys.